was talking in the Security Council, sharing our analysis and frustration over the situation of Syria, Ambassador Power chose to talk to you. The only thing her deputy had to say in response to my comments was that the U.S. is investigating what has happened at Deir ez-Zor. As Ambassador Power walked in, first thing she said, she was not interested in what I had to say, because what I was saying is a stunt.
And there have been no aid deliveries to the besieged rebel-held part of the northern city of Aleppo since that ceasefire was brokered by the U.S. and Russia a week ago. Repeated violations, the delivery aid, one of the conditions of the ceasefire so that they could move forward. More breaking news on the way on this Monday morning. It is September 19th, America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 7:12. Good morning, Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
Thanks, Russell. Good morning. Trouble spot on Ringgold Road in East Ridge, South Germantown. An accident, no injuries. East Ridge PD there. We had a pedestrian struck earlier, DuPont Parkway northbound at North Access. That should be in the clearing stages for us. T-Dot cameras, so far, pretty good shape for us this morning. The world-class air show, Wings Over North Georgia, back October 29th and 30th. Russell Regional Airport in Rome. The U.S. Air Force Thunderbirds will perform. Travis Tritt headlines the concert series on Saturday night. A fireworks spectacular and more. Get tickets and all the details online. WingsOverNorthGeorgia.com. Mike Wood from the Traffic Center here. Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
63 degrees in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Pretty cool today, actually, and overcast so far, but not a big chance of rain today. There is a small chance throughout the rest of the week, but actually not much of one today. 3 for our high today, but that's going to be changing pretty quickly with 90 for our high and 67 for the low, and partly cloudy throughout the day. Now, Tuesday, 91 becomes the high and 67 the low, and it's pretty much going to stay around the same all through the week. By the end of the week, again, the highs 90, lows 68, pretty much the same. And next week, more rain's expected, so it's going to be a wet week. That's good because we're something like 20 inches under what we're supposed to be at for our rain level. We're in a very severe drought. That, combined with the oil problems we're having, are really exacerbating the economic situation when it comes to oil. Gas prices are going up pretty significantly here in the next few days, so be sure to gas up your tank while you can, because gas prices are going to be going up here soon due to that gas line breakage in Alabama. Looking at the news, a man holed himself up inside of a house with 3 women, and he held himself there for 4 hours at College Hill Courts. The women, aged 25, 25, and 27, said that Arthur James Donahue tied the doors together inside of their apartment with black shoelaces in order to keep them hostage. He's now being sought after for carjacking and robbery, or was, when officers learned where he was at that apartment building. When police got there, he took the 3 women hostage with a Ruger 380, a Walther 22, and a Car 45. The latter 2 were reported to be stolen. Police say that when Donahue was taken into custody, he headbutted a sergeant at the scene. It's now been pacified, and everything is safe at the moment. A pedestrian was hit by a car on DuPont Parkway. Definitely not a safe place for pedestrians to be. Northbound DuPont Parkway was shut down on Monday morning, just a few hours ago at 2:30 a.m., after a pedestrian was hit by a car. Their injuries aren't known right now, but we can't imagine that it's too good for a man on DuPont Parkway. The speed limit there is 50 miles per hour. Getting hit at 50 miles per hour is not a pleasant experience for anybody. Georgia Governor Nathan Deal says that the gas pump problems aren't really that bad. Governor of Georgia says that on Sunday, his office hasn't received any complaints so far of gas shortages, thanks to this pipeline spill in central Alabama, saying as of now, we've not received any complaints. If that changes on Monday or at any time in the coming days, the governor's office will act accordingly. Fuel supplies in at least 5 states, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and the Carolinas, were threatened, of course, by this oil spill. Now we have to rely on each other's supplies to keep the gas flowing, which means prices, again, are going to be going up about 20 cents more right now in Georgia. That's just for now. According to a sign on the pump, the gas had to be pulled from Savannah, Georgia. An employee at a Quick Trip in Alpharetta says that they've been gasless since Saturday and said on Sunday they didn't expect a refill until Wednesday or Thursday. So some of the more rural gas stations are definitely being severely affected by this gas shortage here in the South. Again, I would recommend you go ahead and gas up your tank right now because gas prices could potentially go up again pretty quickly here. They've already gone up 20 cents. If it's going on in Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
After some morning clouds and patchy fog, a pretty nice day for your Monday with lots of afternoon sunshine, highs into the upper 80s with a breeze out of the north. Tonight, clear, comfortable lows, lower to middle 60s. For Tuesday and Wednesday, more sunshine, a little hotter for the afternoons with highs of around 90. What can you get for $1 these days? Quite a lot at Taco Bell, where you can feast for $1 all day, from breakfast to late night. Feast on 20 decadent cravings for just $1 each. And I'm Source Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240. Fox News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest.
Hot News Talk 1240.
All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Diesel Off-Road Technology Saudi Daisy for your four-wheel drive and truck needs. Stuff and upholstery with premium rubber foam. Amigos Mexican Restaurant next to Staples and Hickson. Drink specials during the race. Cell Surgeon, the Broken Screen Doc. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Enter your guesses now and listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
I love NASCAR.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Good Monday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 19th day of September. I'm Matt Ray. 5 things that you need to know. Trains in New Jersey running on a modified schedule this morning. This after authorities found 5 devices in a bag that was discovered Sunday night in a trash can. One of them exploded as a bomb squad robot was trying to disarm it. That prompted officials to suspend some transit service. Meanwhile, authorities in New York are questioning several people in connection with an explosion that injured 29 in Manhattan Saturday night, as well as an unexploded pressure cooker found blocks away and an earlier pipe bomb blast in New Jersey. And Minnesota's Somali communities condemning a stabbing attack allegedly carried out by a Somali man. They say 22-year-old Dahir Aiden doesn't represent the community. Aiden's father says it was his son that stabbed 9 people at the Crossroads Center Mall in St. Cloud over the weekend before he was shot and killed by an off-duty officer. Police say the attacker made at least one reference to Allah. The United Nations, meanwhile, is assessing security in the wake of that explosion in New York's Chelsea district as the organization prepares to host world leaders. A UN spokesperson says security inside the complex is being assessed on a constant basis. Outside the UN, the responsibility is of the host country. President Obama heads to New York this afternoon. Game of Thrones conquering the Emmy Kingdom, honored as the top drama for the second consecutive year. It becomes the most honored primetime TV series ever. On a night of surprises and political jabs, Veep repeated as best comedy series. Julia Louis-Dreyfus won a record-breaking 6th Emmy as best comedy actress. Jeffrey Tambor's trophy as top comedy actor for Transparent was his second. And speaking of entertainment, Sully held on to the top box office spot at the weekend for the second week, fending off a trio of newcomers. The Miracle on the Hudson, starring Tom Hanks, hauled in an estimated $22 million. The horror revival Blair Witch opened at number 2 with $9.7 million, and Bridget Jones' Baby took third place with $8.2 million, edging out Snowden. Well, I didn't watch any movies at the theater anyway over the weekend. A lot of football, though. Let's bring in our expert, Lou Vickery, former pro baseball player, also the author of several fine books, including his latest, A Touch of Gray, available now at Amazon.com, and Lou Vickery at LouVickeryBooks.com. Hey, Lou, you did pretty well with the Losers on Friday.
Well, I did, Matt. I was 4-1 in the colleges and 4-1 in the pros. So it was a good weekend. I wasn't surprised at the fact that Louisville beat Florida State in the college ranks, but I sure was surprised by the number of points they put up on what was supposed to be a great Florida State defense. Louisville wins at 63-20. Lamar Jackson, Matt, I tell you what, this kid may be off his to the kind of start he's had may be as good as I've ever seen in college football. He's accounted for 20 touchdowns in 3 games. That's unbelievable.
Wow. Yeah.
But, Matt, other interesting games. So it's obviously Nebraska upset Oregon 35-32. Michigan State beat Notre Dame. That was the game that I lost in my picks. And then Alabama and Ole Miss, what a heck of a game that was. Alabama wins it 48-43. But we got some really great action. And, don't let me forget Ohio State, because the Buckeyes played exceptionally well against Oklahoma. That game was delayed, by the way, by bad weather for quite a while. But it was a great weekend of college football. And on the pro side, how about the Minnesota Vikings last night upset the Green Bay Packers? Minnesota opened their new park, U.S. Bank Park, and the Twins. Better get some football of mine. The Vikings come away with a 17-14 win. And on the West Coast, how about the Rams? The Rams have yet to score a touchdown, Matt, but they're 1-1 after beating Seattle 9-3. Yeah. We had a baseball game there instead of a football game, I believe.
Yeah, a lot of RBIs scored in that game there. Yeah,
right. And the Pittsburgh Steelers defeated Cincinnati. It's developed into quite a rivalry. 24-16. To me, I thought there was a bad call there. And Von Miller and the defense from the Denver Broncos again came to the front. They scored 2 touchdowns as the Broncos defeated the Indianapolis Colts. Matt, the Colts are off to 0-2 start, so not very good start for the Colts, who were picked to win the South of the AFC.
Lou, I have to. Sam Bradford looked fantastic yesterday. You mentioned the upset over the Packers there for the Vikings. He has to give them some confidence, especially if he stays healthy.
Absolutely, Matt. He completed 22 out of 31 passes for about 280-plus yards, a couple touchdowns. And the big concern now is Adrian Peterson. How serious is that knee injury? Because I think with the combination of Sam Bradford throwing and Adrian Peterson running, the Vikings could be right in the hunt again for the championship of the North Division of the NFC.
Hey, the Dodgers still lead the NL West by 5 games over the Giants after Arizona earned a split of its 4-game series with L.A. It looks like they're going to just run away with this thing.
Yeah, I think the Dodgers are obviously going to win the West. The Giants, the biggest concern now you have for the Giants is winning one of the wild card positions. Matt, if we finish the season right now in the National League, I'm 5 for 5 for the 5 teams I expect to be in the playoffs are there when we pick back in April. But the St. Louis Cardinals, whom I did not pick this year, may have something to say about that. They only came behind the Giants. The Mets are 2 up in the wild card race. And so, there's a lot of baseball to be played. The Red Sox lead the East Division of the American League, but they go to Baltimore for a 4-game series. Baltimore is 3 out. So that should be an excellent series there. Baltimore would have to sweep all 4 to move into first place. I don't think that will happen. These Red Sox hit the ball too well. But the Yankees, I think, are stumbling out there. I believe are finished in the wild card race. I think it's going to come down to the 2 teams I just mentioned. Baltimore And also Toronto, Detroit still has a shot, so does Seattle. They're all bunched in there close within 2.5 games of each other for the wild card.
Yeah.
So we
Fun
still
time
got
of the
some
year.
baseball to be played. Pardon
Yeah. And Martin Truex. Congratulations to Martin Truex.
Yeah, he wins first race of the NASCAR chase, and also a kid named John Dustin. Matt wins the BMW championship. I never heard of John Dustin, so I apologize.
No worries. Lou, we appreciate your time and honesty as always.
All right. Thank you, Matt. Have a great one.
We'll talk to you on Wednesday. That's Lou Vickery, a former pro baseball player, also the author of several books, including his latest, A Touch of Gray, available now at Amazon.com. More breaking news on the way on this Monday morning. It's September 19th. We've been following the coverage out of New Jersey this morning and New York, the very latest on unexploded devices found overnight, and several people in custody allegedly involved with that bombing in New York.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 7:27. Good morning. It's 63 degrees here in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Getting up to 90 today for our high and 67 for the low. Partly cloudy today all day, and that's going to be the continuing trend throughout the rest of the week as well. Just some clouds here and there, but not really too bad at all. Mostly clear, actually. I guess it's not really mostly cloudy. It's partly cloudy, but mostly clear. I guess that'd be a good way to put it. Highs for the 90s all through this week and lows in the 60s. There is one day, Friday, where we have a high of 89, but it's not really going to feel like much of a difference. 68 for the low and clear on Friday. And a little bit of rain is possible every day here this week. So there is a chance of rain every week. It's just we probably won't be getting any. The biggest chance of rain is next week on Monday. So keep an umbrella in your car if you can. I would recommend doing that anyway. And make sure you gas up your car as well, because the price of gas, gee, is a rising. Looking at the news, a barn burned down in Sale Creek yesterday morning at 11:30 a.m. A homeowner called 911 to report that her barn was on fire on Pendergrass Road in Sale Creek. The firefighters got there after reporting that there was a fully engulfed barn. Sale Creek VFD requested mutual aid as well. They had to bring in a tanker shuttle, which allows a continuous supply of water without a hydrant being there. The barn was housing farm equipment, tools, and supplies. The cause is still not known. It's under investigation by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office. Damages are also not known at this time. However, we all know farm equipment can be pretty expensive. A Dalton woman and her 2 children were killed, and another one's been airlifted now after a traffic accident. Their Jeep they were driving was struck in the rear by another vehicle on Friday night in Cartersville, Georgia. Shania Washington, who's 8, was airlifted to an Atlanta hospital. Denisha Washington was killed, along with the backseat passengers, her 11-month-old child Octavian and her 2-year-old Ayania. And Wolford has been charged now. The driver of the other vehicle has been charged with 3 counts of homicide by vehicle in the first degree, serious injury by vehicle, driving under the influence, and following too closely. He was booked into the Bartow County Jail. Both vehicles came to rest in a median, they report, after smashing into each other and flying through the air, it was reported. 3 women were being held hostage by a man who wanted to keep the police at bay by taking some hostages. 3 of them aged 25, 2 of them, and 27. Arthur James Donahue is the man who's accused of tying doors together with black shoelaces to keep these women hostage inside of his house while he tried to keep the police away with a firearm. We're going to go to Mike Wood now from the Hot News Talk Radio Traffic Center. Good morning, Mike. Take it away.
Hey, Russell. Thanks very much. Good morning. Ringgold Road and East Ridge right at South Germantown. An accident, no injuries. East Ridge PD on the scene of that one right now. We are also working in Day County on an accident, Hales Gap Road coming off Sand Mountain. There are some injuries on this one. One car about halfway between Sligo and Murphy's Hollow Road this morning. This report of service of the folks at Acumen Polygraph. Acumen Polygraph, if you'd like to resolve matters discreetly, you need to get the facts. They get the answers. 423-355-5396. Acumen Polygraph. Mike Wood from the Traffic Center at Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
I want to bring you breaking national news that's coming in just now. There's an FBI raid underway at a home in New Jersey near a train station. It's now being searched following the bombing in Chelsea. It's believed that the person who lived in this home is connected to that bombing in Chelsea, New York. There was one bomb which went off, which injured several people, and another bomb, a pressure cooker bomb, was found that did not go off but was intended to. We'll keep you updated on that national breaking story here on America's Morning News and Chattanooga's Morning News here on Hot News Talk Radio. The man who held these 3 women hostage is being sought for carjacking and robbery when police found where he was, but he was eventually arrested by a SWAT team and the hostages were cleared. He had 3 guns inside of his home. If it's going on in the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items, discounted at, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
Bill's Smoke Shop in Saudi Daisy has everything to please your good taste. It's across from the Hardys in Saudi Daisy. Come visit Bina. She has all kinds of treats for you, including beer. Bell's Smoke Shop, Saudi Daisy.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton. Tax services, accounting, cash flow. We're small business specialists. I've been helping families and businesses for 35 years. E.J. Pelton & Company, 332-3339. We make life less taxing.
This is Mike at For the Record at Northgate Mall. We're the largest complete record store in town. We sell old and new vinyl records, celebrity posters, music posters, and we are the largest in town. Come see us.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
RIM. AngioGrim.com/radio or call 877-882-7221. That's 877-882-7221.
This is the Talk Radio Network at TalkRadioNetwork.com.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Good Monday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 19th day of September, 34 minutes past the hour. I'm Matt Ray. Here's what we're following this morning.
The robots that were going in to disarm it cut a wire and it exploded.
Up to 5 devices discovered in New Jersey overnight. We have the latest.
We are currently investigating this as a potential act of terrorism.
ISIS claims responsibility for a stabbing attack at a Minnesota mall.
Even by Russia's standards, tonight's stunt, a stunt replete with moralism and grandstanding, is uniquely cynical and hypocritical.
Syria's ceasefire begins to unravel. We're crossing the nation and sweeping the globe to bring you all of today's top stories. And we start with the latest out of New Jersey. FBI agents and police converging on an apartment near a train station in Elizabeth. 5 suspicious devices found in a backpack a short distance from that station. One exploded while a bomb squad robot was attempting to disarm it. It's unclear if there's a connection between the apartment and the explosion. Meanwhile, authorities have been questioning several people as they work to determine whether there's a connection between explosive devices found over the weekend in New York and New Jersey. They include a device that blew up in Manhattan, injuring 29, and a pipe bomb that went off in a Jersey Shore town, hurting no one. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says several questions should be answered today.
We know that obviously you had a number of bombings, Elizabeth, New Jersey, Seaside Park, and in Manhattan in the Chelsea area. And there are similarities among the bombs. They're not identical, but there are certain similarities in the way the bombs were put together with certain elements, etc., suggesting that there might have been a common linkage or a common person behind all the bombs. Individuals have been questioned. The investigation is proceeding rapidly. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't start to zero in on a particular individual today even. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do find a foreign connection to the act. Yesterday, we were saying that, in my opinion, it was clearly an act of terrorism. It was a dangerous act. It appeared designed to intimidate a civilian population. You set off 2 bombs in New York City, not to mention New Jersey, and that is an act of terrorism. The question was it foreign related?
Yeah.
And I think that answer might be coming today.
That audio courtesy of CNN, and CNN reporting just moments ago that officials are looking for a suspect named Ahmed Khan Rahami. Of course, we'll continue to keep you updated as developments become available. Well, the United Nations assessing security in the wake of that explosion in New York's Chelsea district as the organization gets ready to host world leaders arriving for the General Assembly. A UN spokesperson says security inside is being assessed on a constant basis outside the UN, the responsibility of the host country. President Obama heads to New York this afternoon. And leaders of the Somali community in central Minnesota are condemning the stabbing of 9 people at a St. Cloud mall. Community leaders held a news conference Sunday and said the suspect in Saturday night's attack does not represent the larger Somali community. The man's father identified the suspect as Dahir Aden in an interview with the Star Tribune. Police Chief Blair Anderson.
St. Cloud is a very resilient community. St. Cloud is filled with hardworking, right-thinking, decent people, and we're going to be stronger because of this. Between last night, obviously, and this morning, we've executed at least 2 search warrants at an address here in St. Cloud. We did discover the suspect's vehicle in the mall parking lot. That vehicle was cleared and impounded. In other words, there's no imminent threat either from that vehicle or right now. There's nothing that we have gleaned that would suggest to us that this is anything other than what it appears to be now.
All 9 victims suffered injuries, but all 9 victims suffered non-life-threatening injuries, I should say. The FBI investigating that as a possible act of terrorism. The Secretary of State John Kerry says Russia needs to stop Syrian President Bashar Assad from bombing the opposition and force him to allow aid into besieged areas. He called on Russia to step in and get the humanitarian assistance going.
Biggest judgment they need to make is to stop Assad from bombing people indiscriminately, which he continues to do. And if you are serious about having a ceasefire, and they say they are, then they should keep Assad from flying right now and prove their sincerity about a ceasefire. But to allow Assad, who is a spoiler, he doesn't want a ceasefire, to allow him to continue to go after opposition, pretending that they are Nusra, is in and of itself a huge challenge to this effort. So we call on Russia to stop the grandstanding, stop the showboating, and get the humanitarian assistance going. It is now Sunday morning. That's right. This started Monday night of this past week, and the humanitarian assistance is supposed to be flowing. The regime, once again, is blocking it. So Russia's client, Russia's supported friend, is the single biggest blockade to the ability to move forward here. And the opposition feels threatened because the bombs continue, even as there is supposed to be a cessation of hostilities. So let me just say this clearly. Russia signed up to a cessation of hostilities. Assad said he would live by it. Then he needs to stop and let the Joint Implementation Center get set up so Russia and the United States can coordinate in order to avoid the kind of terrible thing that happened yesterday, which we all acknowledge and regret.
And a senior opposition official in Syria now saying that ceasefire is clinically dead. It started to unfold over the weekend when the U.S.-led coalition hit government forces, Bashar Assad government forces, that prompted Russia to lash out at Washington. And then last night, government airstrikes hit Aleppo. Since that ceasefire brokered by the U.S. and Russia took effect a week ago, there have been repeated violations. And you heard there, no aid deliveries to the besieged rebel-held part of the northern city of Aleppo. That delivery of aid was one of the conditions of the ceasefire, so officials could move forward. Well, President Obama and Iraqi Prime Minister Haider al-Abadi will strategize about the upcoming offensive to take back the northern city of Mosul when they meet on the sidelines of the UN General Assembly. The session set for today comes at a critical time for President Obama. He has just a few months left to make progress against ISIS before passing on the conflict to his successor. The administration considers Abadi an improvement over the sectarian approach of his predecessor, Nouri al-Maliki. The president's meeting with Abadi marks the start of a hectic week of diplomacy as President Obama makes his final appearance as president at the UN gathering. He also plans to meet Monday with the Chinese premier and socialize with U.S. diplomats assigned to the UN. And authorities are investigating two Samsung Galaxy Note 7 smartphones that reportedly caught fire in what, if confirmed, would be the first such incidents in that country. A user of Chinese social media posted on Sunday messages saying a friend's Note 7 caught fire over the weekend. South Korean and Chinese news reports say a second Note 7 user reported a phone blew up Sunday. Samsung has announced a recall for some phones in China, but says other sales will go ahead because the Note 7 sold in China uses a different battery than those linked to problems elsewhere. Samsung did not respond to emails seeking a comment. More breaking news on the way on this Monday morning. It is September 19th, the latest out of New York City. A suspect has been identified in that bomb blast. We will have more details coming up right here on America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks this hour, brought to you by Money Metals Exchange.
America's Morning News. America's Morning News. We'll be right back.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
64 degrees in Chattanooga from Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center. Traffic and weather together here at Hot News Talk Radio. It's 89 for our high and 65 for the low here in the Tennessee Valley. Partly cloudy today, but there might be some mist here and there. It doesn't technically count as rain. It's just mist from the fog that we have right now. I guess by definition it is rain, but it's not really rain as the meteorologists call it. Tuesday, 90 for the high, 66 for the low, and clear on Tuesday. Wednesday all the way through to Sunday is going to be clear with very small chance of rain here and there throughout the Tennessee Valley, under 25% pretty consistently here throughout the Tennessee Valley. But again, next week, we are expecting rain, getting up to about a 50% chance of rain on Wednesday and Thursday of next week. Now, that's next week, so that's a ways away, but it is there. Looking at the news again on the national side, a man who's believed to have pulled off the New York bombing in Chelsea is now having his apartment raided by police. The man, the suspect, is apparently in police custody, and his apartment is now being raided by the FBI, trying to find evidence of bomb-making materials inside of that home. Looking at local news, gas prices are going up by 20 cents and already have gone up by 20 cents here in the Tennessee Valley, particularly in Georgia, where the governor says that his office has not received any complaints yet of gas shortages within the state of Georgia after a pipeline spill in central Alabama. But some gas station employees say that they have had to close because they have run out of gas. So I guess the governor just hasn't heard of it. Fuel supplies in at least 5 states, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee, and the 2 Carolinas, have been threatened by this gas leak spill. And the U.S. Department of Transportation has ordered the company responsible, Colonial Pipeline, to make corrective action immediately before the fuel starts flowing again. The problem, by the way, with this fuel line breakage is you can't use power tools around the area where the gas has leaked because gasoline fumes are extremely extremely flammable. Using any sort of power tool, they always arc inside, could cause a fire, possibly an explosion. So it's a very delicate situation. Quick Trip in Alpharetta says that they've been gasless since Saturday, and they're not expecting a refill until Wednesday. A pedestrian was hit on DuPont Parkway northbound by a car. The speed limit there is 50 miles per hour. We expect it's a bad accident. This happened at around 2:30 a.m. Monday morning. The victim's been taken to the hospital, and the extent of the injuries are not known. But again, the speed limit there on DuPont Parkway North is 50 miles per hour. We can't imagine that it was a gentle crash, to be sure. 3 women were being held hostage by a man after he was being sought after by police for multiple charges, including carjacking and robbery. He took these 3 women hostage in an apartment building, according to police, and tied the door shut with black shoelace wire or cordage. The women, their ages are 25. 2 of them are 25 and 1 is 27. Arthur James Donahue is the suspect in this case. He tied those doors shut and holed himself up with a gun, a Ruger 380, a Walther 22, and a Car Arms 45 caliber handgun. The latter of those 2 guns were apparently stolen, according to police, and they say that Donahue was taken into custody and he headbutted a sergeant at the scene, but he was eventually taken into custody. A barn has burned down in Sale Creek, engulfed in flames. The Sale Creek Volunteer Fire Department responded to the scene after 911 was called. They said that they had to call in a tanker shuttle, which is a vehicle that they use when there are no fire hydrants nearby. Imagine a giant tanker truck like you see going down the highway. Well, this one was full of water instead of oil or other hazardous materials. The barns housed farming equipment, tools, and supplies. The cause of the fire is still not known. The Hamilton County Sheriff's Office is investigating to try to find out what exactly the cause of that fire was. A Dalton woman who's 25 was killed along with 2 of her 3 children in a tragic accident. She was struck from the rear in her Jeep. Smashed into her car was another man named Wolford, and they flew into the median, killing 3 people now. It's going on the Tennessee Valley. It's going on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Shooter Supply, any A-frame, 20% off, 10% off, 5% off, everything in the store's on sale. 5, 10, 20, September sales days. Shooter Supply, handguns, carry permit classes, ammo and gear. You get 5% off of firearms, 10% off of ammo and gear, 20% off of all handgun carry permit classes. Shooter Supply, September sales days. But you gotta get here now. It's ending soon. Shooter Supply, any A-frame. We're on Hickson Pike, right around the corner, right next to the Holiday Inn Express. Shooter Supply and Indoor Range. Shooters-range.com. Order online. Shooters-range.com. September sales days.
After some morning clouds and patchy fog, a pretty nice day for your Monday with lots of afternoon sunshine, highs into the upper 80s with a breeze out of the north. Tonight, clear, comfortable lows, lower to middle 60s. For Tuesday and Wednesday, more sunshine, a little hotter for the afternoons with highs of around 90. What can you get for $1 these days? Quite a lot at Taco Bell, where you can feast for $1 all day. From breakfast to late night, feast on 20 decadent cravings for just $1 each. And I'm Source Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Ward. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Good Monday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 19th day of September. I'm Matt Ray. Here's what we're following this morning. Breaking news out of the FBI's New York office. The FBI asking for assistance in locating Ahmed Khan Rahami. He's wanted for questioning in connection with that explosion that happened September 17th in the vicinity of West 23rd Street in New York City. He's a 28-year-old U.S. citizen of Afghan descent. His last known address was in Elizabeth, New Jersey. The news comes as authorities have been questioning several people in connection with Saturday's explosion and also those devices found overnight in New Jersey. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo says several questions should be answered today.
We know that obviously at a number of bombings, Elizabeth, New Jersey, Seaside Park, and in Manhattan in the Chelsea area. And there are similarities among the bombs. They're not identical, but there are certain similarities in the way the bombs were put together with certain elements, et cetera, suggesting that there might have been a common linkage or a common person behind all the bombs. Individuals have been questioned. The investigation is proceeding rapidly. I wouldn't be surprised if it doesn't start to zero in on a particular individual today even. And I wouldn't be surprised if we do find a foreign connection to the act. Yesterday, we were saying that, in my opinion, it was clearly an act of terrorism. It was a dangerous act. It appeared designed to intimidate a civilian population. You set off 2 bombs in New York City, not to mention New Jersey, and that is an act of terrorism. The question was it foreign related?
Yeah.
And I think that answer might be coming today.
That audio courtesy of CNN. Meanwhile, a witness of that New York explosion said she heard it from the Hudson River Park. She says she's now weary of garbage cans after she saw many wounded at the site of the explosion at 7th Avenue and 7th Avenue and 24th Street. Lynn Corey spoke to the Associated Press about what she saw.
When I heard this huge explosion, and I thought that it was I thought it was something at the river. So I was waiting for the fire truck to come. I heard fire truck, but then I heard fire truck going away from the river, so I knew that it was not the river. So then I went to Whole Foods, right here on 24th to get tea tree oil for my cat ringworm. And I saw just endless, fire trucks and firefighters and cops. And I saw people without shirts and wounds, sort of sitting next to the fire truck. I just got alert on my cell phone that there's another package they just found on 27th Street. So yes, there's definitely, I'm watchful. I'm leery of garbage cans now.
And once again, the New York FBI field office seeking information on the suspect that's been identified as Ahmed Khan Rahami. Taking a look at the markets this morning, gold and silver prices dropped sharply Friday as rhetoric from the Fed Reserve about a supposedly strong case for interest rate hikes came. America's central bank made little comment, though, regarding the recent disappointment on jobs, manufacturing, services, and GDP. The bulk of July and August were characterized by light volume trading and extraordinarily low volatility in most markets. Live prices at moneymetals.com show gold currently trading at $1,315.10 per ounce, silver at $19.15. Now here's a special report from Mike Gleason at Money Metals Exchange.
As precious metals markets continue to hunt for a seasonal bottom, monetary policy is emerging as a significant issue in the presidential election. Donald Trump spoke in front of the Economic Club of New York, where he addressed a question on interest rates. The Republican nominee took the opportunity to lay into the Federal Reserve and accuse it of playing politics.
So I believe the Fed is very political. It's become very political, like many other groups in this country, beyond anything I would have ever thought possible. And so I think you're going to have low interest rates till the end of the year, maybe no increase at all. And the market will stay artificially high. And then we're going to have to see what happens after that. But I think it's they're not doing the right job. I really believe if it was a political decision or the right decision, they're going to go with the political decision every single time.
Trump has previously expressed support for auditing the Federal Reserve. He has even spoken favorably about the idea of returning to a gold standard. But Trump has also said that as a real estate investor, he favors low interest rates. And he surely knows that as president, he could face a debt funding crisis in the event of higher borrowing costs for the government. Unfortunately for deficit hawks, neither Donald Trump nor Hillary Clinton have any credible plans to balance the budget. Both candidates are pushing for more spending rather than less. Unlike Clinton, Trump advocates cuts in corporate and personal income tax rates. The The Trump tax plan assumes the economy will achieve much faster rates of economic growth than it has in recent years. If these growth assumptions prove to be overly optimistic, then federal budget deficits could widen in the years ahead, regardless of who wins in November. In fact, the deficit is already starting to widen. The latest projections from the Congressional Budget Office show that the annual budget shortfall for 2016 will rise to $590 billion. That's $152 billion more than in 2015. The CBO's projections paint a bleak fiscal picture heading into the 2020s as mounting entitlement obligations swell the national debt. Over the next decade, the government is forecast to run up another $9 trillion in unpaid bills. But nobody in Congress or on the campaign trail seems too worried about the impending debt crisis. After all, the Federal Reserve can always step in and buy government bonds in unlimited quantities. But that merely transforms the crisis from one of solvency to one of confidence in the currency. The Fed may be able to create as many dollars as it wants, but at some point, all those dollars will start to lose value more rapidly than Fed policymakers intend. Then they will really be in a bind. And so will investors who haven't sufficiently diversified themselves out of dollars and into hard assets. Precious metals markets could get a boost after the Federal Reserve's policy meeting on the 20th and 21st. As always, much will depend on how investors interpret the wording accompanying the rate decision. In markets so heavily influenced by the words of a small group of central bankers, it's hard for ordinary investors to find a silver bullet to conquer Fed-induced volatility. But silver is certainly one asset within a well-diversified portfolio that can help mitigate the risks of monetary policy gone awry.
Our producer is David Milligan, America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Listen up, y'all. Ben Phillips, Home Rate Mortgage, 805-9100. I'm in the business of saving people money. And if you want to save money, pick that cell phone up right now. 9100. I received a call that I won't forget. The guy is a Chattanooga police officer who served our great country in the Air Force. A true American hero. Our hero is renting, which costs too much for a space too small. We helped him achieve the American dream. And the best part is this. He purchased a $180,000 home with zero down. His payment is $200 less than what his rent was. And now he has a safe place with more space to raise his family. It's easy, and you can do it too. It just takes 10 minutes and one phone call. 805-9100.
Turn a house into a home. I'm blowing everything up. We're starting over. I'm doing a new show. I want guys who push it to the middle of the table and go over the top. Take a risk, fail miserably. I'm right, and I'm not wrong, and I'll never back down. Conflict works. Allow it.
It's The Herd with Colin Cowherd. Right here and everywhere. Noon Eastern.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
WSDT Sunny Daisy, Chattanooga.
Man sought in New York attack.
There may very well be a foreign link.
Blast at a New Jersey train station.
The robots cut a wire and it exploded.
TV's Emmy night.
The Emmy goes to
Beep. Game of Thrones.
Good morning. I'm Steve Kathan with the CBS World News Roundup. Bomb blasts in New York City and New Jersey have people on edge, police on high alert, and investigators looking for suspects and possible links. And now there's word a suspect is being sought in connection with all the incidents over the past few days. New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio moments ago on CNN.
Ahmed Khan Rahami, he is a New Jersey resident, 28-year-old, naturalized United States citizen. He is wanted for questioning.
This comes just hours after explosive devices were found at a train station in Elizabeth, New Jersey. One device went off as a robot was disarming it there overnight. Other devices were found nearby. Mayor Chris Bolwage says it's fortunate they were found by a passerby.
Two gentlemen going through a waste paper basket. They found a package which they thought was of some value to them, saw that there were some wires attached to some pipe, dropped it. Then they walked over to police headquarters, reported what they found.
And now an apartment near that train station is being searched. Meantime, 5 people are being questioned. They were taken in after a New York City traffic stop as officials investigate the Saturday night blast in Chelsea that injured 29 people. An unexploded pressure cooker device was found a few blocks away. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo on CBS this morning.
The investigation is now targeting certain individuals who might suggest that this did have a foreign connection.
CBS's Jeff Pegues.
Surveillance video gave investigators a really solid lead. That video shows a person of interest planning at least one of the bombs in Manhattan, but at this point, no one has claimed responsibility for the bombing. CBS News has learned both homemade bombs located in the Chelsea neighborhood of Manhattan use flipped cell phones as detonators, similar to the explosive that blew up in Seaside Park, New Jersey, about 55 miles to the south. We can also confirm that both Chelsea bombs contain the explosive substance tannerite, which is a substance that is easily accessible, meaning it's relatively easy to purchase a substance like that.
Beaches in Seaside Park, New Jersey, where that first blast went off Saturday, have reopened. It all happened just before a 5K race to benefit Marines and sailors. ISIS has claimed responsibility for the Saturday stabbing rampage at a shopping mall in St. Cloud, Minnesota. The FBI is investigating it as a potential act of terrorism. 9 people were injured, and Mayor David Tulis says an off-duty police officer shot and killed the attacker, who had what appeared to be a kitchen knife.
His heroic actions are exemplary. Having witnessed what he did, not only did he fire, the suspect went down, he came back up on 3 different occasions.
Officials say the Somali suspect made a reference to Allah during the attack and asked a victim if she was a Muslim. The attacks all around the country have sparked reaction on the campaign trail. Donald Trump.
We better get very tough, folks. We better get very, very tough.
Hillary Clinton.
It's always wiser to wait until you have information before making conclusions.
12th and last Clinton Global Initiative opens today in New York. Here's CBS's Stephen Portnoy.
It's
For a decade, Bill Clinton has hosted the annual gatherings where donors, celebrities, and thought leaders rub elbows.
President Clinton changed the philanthropic landscape.
But now CEO Bob Harrison says the Clinton Global Initiative is holding its final meeting.
We're going to be focusing on our legacy.
Sending in supplies to the Ebola zone, educating girls, offering life-saving drugs to millions with HIV. Harrison denies any kind of pay-to-play.
To the best of my knowledge, nobody has ever gotten anything from the State Department because they supported the Clinton Foundation.
The top-rated charity will stop taking corporate and foreign money, and Bill and Chelsea Clinton will step down from the board if Hillary wins in November. Stephen Portnoy, CBS News, Washington.
It's 4 minutes after the hour.
Tune in here for coverage of the presidential debates and the veteran political reporters who can explain all that's happening. Pam Coulter.
It's part of the job to challenge those in authority.
Stephen Portnoy.
Trump says he won't change if he wins the presidency. Neither will the press.
Peter Mayer.
40 years on the White House beat.
Leonard Steinhorn.
It's great to have grassroots support.
And me, Dan Raviv. Right here on CBS Radio News. All the latest as Americans decide who will lead.
If the South would have you give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
After some morning clouds and patchy fog, a pretty nice day for your Monday with lots of afternoon sunshine, highs into the upper 80s with a breeze out of the north. Tonight, clear, comfortable lows, lower to middle 60s. For Tuesday and Wednesday, more sunshine, a little hotter for the afternoons with highs of around 90. What can you get for $1 these days? Quite a lot at Taco Bell, where you can feast for $1 all day. From breakfast to late night, feast on 20 decadent cravings for just $1 each. And I'm Source Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Hoare. On AM 1240, Hot News Talk Radio.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network.
News Talk 1240.
Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
News Talk 1240.
Live from coast to coast, America's morning news is on the air. All the breaking news you need is right here. And now, the host of America's morning news, Matt Ray.
Good Monday morning, 6 minutes past the hour. This is America's morning news, where the nation's news breaks on this 19th day of September. Here's what we're following today.
The robots that were going in to disarm it cut a wire and it exploded.
Up to 5 devices discovered in New Jersey overnight. We have the latest.
We are currently investigating this as a potential act of terrorism.
ISIS claims responsibility for a stabbing attack at a Minnesota mall.
Even by Russia's standards, tonight's stunt, a stunt replete with moralism and grandstanding, is uniquely cynical and hypocritical.
Syria's ceasefire begins to unravel. We're crossing the nation and sweeping the globe to bring you all of today's top stories. And we start with 5 things to know on this Monday morning. The mayor of Elizabeth, New Jersey, says authorities have found 5 devices in a bag that was discovered Sunday night in a trash can. One of those exploded as a bomb squad was trying to disarm it. The bag was found near a New Jersey train station. That prompted officials to suspend transit service. Authorities in New York, meanwhile, say they're questioning several people in connection with the explosion that injured 29 in Manhattan Saturday night, as well as the unexploded pressure cooker device found blocks away and an earlier pipe bomb blast in New Jersey. Authorities say the FBI pulled over a suspicious vehicle in Brooklyn Sunday night and took the occupants to an FBI building for questioning. Minnesota's Somali community, meanwhile, is condemning a stabbing attack allegedly carried out by a Somali man. They say 22-year-old Tahir Aden does not represent them. His father says it was his son that stabbed 9 people at the Crossroads Center Mall in St. Cloud over the weekend before he was shot and killed by an off-duty police officer. Police say the attacker made at least one reference to Allah. The United Nations is assessing security in the wake of that explosion in New York City's Chelsea district as the organization prepares to host world leaders arriving for the General Assembly. A UN spokesperson says security inside the complex is being assessed on a constant basis. He says security outside the UN is the responsibility of the host country. President Obama will head to New York this afternoon. Game of Thrones conquering the Emmy Kingdom, honored as top drama for the second consecutive year, becoming the most honored primetime series ever. On a night of surprises and sharp political jabs, Veep repeated as best comedy series. It starred Julia Louis-Dreyfus, won a record-breaking 6th Emmy as best comedy actress. Jeffrey Tambor's trophy as top comedy actor for Transparent was his second. And Sully holds on to the top box office spot for a second week, fending off a trio of newcomers. The dramatization of The Miracle on the Hudson starring Tom Hanks hauled in an estimated $22 million. The horror revival Blair Witch opened at number 2 with $9.7 million, and Bridget Jones's Baby took 3rd place with $8.2 million, edging out Snowden. In your news this morning, Syria's fragile ceasefire started to unravel Sunday with the first aerial attacks on rebel-held neighborhoods of Aleppo, violations that came as tensions between the American and Russian brokers of the deal worsened. That followed a deadly U.S. airstrike on Syrian government forces. The air raid by the U.S.-led coalition led to a harsh verbal attack on Washington by Russia's UN ambassador Vitaly Churkin. He lashed out at U.S. Ambassador Samantha Power on Saturday night following an emergency meeting.
As you know, we convened the consultations of the Security Council because the United States has bombed the Syrian armed forces in Deir ez-Zor. And Deir ez-Zor, of course, is one of the most important symbols of resistance against ISIL. I've never seen such an extraordinary display of American heavy-handedness as we're witnessing today. As I was talking in the Security Council, sharing our analysis and frustration over the situation of Syria, Ambassador Power chose to talk to you. The only thing her deputy had to say in response to my comments was that the U.S. is investigating what has happened at Deir ez-Zor. As Ambassador Power walked in, first thing she said, she was not interested in what I had to say because what I was saying is a stunt.
Now, the 7-day ceasefire was supposed to end at midnight Sunday, according to the Syrian army statement. The U.S. and Russia have said that if it holds for 7 days, it should be followed by the establishment of a joint implementation center for both countries to coordinate the targeting of ISIS and al-Qaeda-linked militants. Asian markets mostly higher today as investors awaited the outcome from the Fed Reserve and Bank of Japan policy meetings later this week. South Korea's Kospi added 0.8%. The Hang Seng rose 0.9%, and China's Shanghai added 0.5%. Markets in Taiwan, Singapore, and elsewhere in Southeast Asia mostly higher. Japan was closed for the holiday. On Friday here at home, stocks closed modestly lower. The Dow fell 88 or 0.5% to 18,123. The S&P 500 fell 8 or 0.25%, and the NASDAQ shed 5. Later on this hour, we will discuss the markets with our expert, Lenore L. Hawkins. And later on in the show, we'll be joined by CNN military analyst Colonel Cedric Layton, the very latest out of New York and New Jersey. Breaking overnight, investigators have found up to 5 suspicious devices in New Jersey. One of them went off as a bomb squad robot was assessing the situation. This as 5 people are reportedly being questioned at an FBI building in New York in connection with that explosion in New York City, an unexploded device in New York City as well, and a pipe bomb that went off Saturday in New Jersey. The very latest right here. You've got America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
America's Morning News. You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:12. Good morning, Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
Hey, Russell, I appreciate that. And excuse me, good morning. Broken down in traffic on Amnicola right now that's slowing us down. It is Amnicola right there at Riverside Drive, Curtain Pole right through there this morning. Otherwise, pretty good ride. I do notice in Dade County that they are still working an accident coming off the mountain. Give me a second on this one. Getting an update. Hales Gap Road off Sand Mountain. Injuries. One car. They are still on the scene. They being Dade County, about halfway between Sligo and Murphy Hollow Road this morning. EPB lets you watch 4 TV channels on one screen at the same time. The Smart View Guide now great for weekend sports or anytime you want to keep up with your favorite shows to watch at one time. 648-1372 or fi.com. Mike Wood this morning here, the Traffic Center, of course. Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240.
64 degrees in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center, getting up to 89 for the high today and 65 for the low. Going to be a lot warmer today than it was yesterday. So some of the warmer clothes you may have been wearing yesterday, not going to cut it today. Tuesday, 89 for the high and 65 for the low. Clear on Tuesday, and that's going to be a continuing trend all throughout the week. Although there is an under 25% chance of rain every day this week, that's not really worth mentioning because it's not going to be causing much of any problems. Probably what we're going to be seeing is spotty showers here and there and nothing too major at all. Next week, though, is a different story because we are expecting a little bit of rain next week, just about as much as we got on Sunday. So that's a good sign, and we're certainly looking forward to that. That's your weather update from us here at the Weather Center, Hot News Talk Radio, AM 1240. We're always here at hotnewstalkradio.com as well. A barn engulfed in flames in Sale Creek was put out by the volunteer fire department there. It was full of barn equipment and other such items. The Sale Creek VFD had to call in a mutual aid response for a tanker shuttle, which is full of water. They use it when there are no fire hydrants available. This allows for a continuous supply of water at all times. The Saudi Daisy Fire Department and Sequoia Volunteer Fire Department also helped out. The barn had farm equipment, tools, and supplies. The cause is being investigated by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office as we speak. This happened this morning at about 2:30 a.m. A 25-year-old Dalton woman and 2 of her children were killed in a freak accident on the highway. Another child had to be airlifted to an Atlanta hospital, and a man named Warford is now being charged with their death. Scotty Warford is 51, drove a Dodge truck that struck that Jeep on Highway 411. He's been taken to the hospital as well. He's from Rockmart, Georgia. Warford was charged with 3 counts of homicide by vehicle in the first degree, serious injury by vehicle, driving under the influence, and following too closely. And the vehicle scene right now is not too good because gas prices have gone up by 20 cents over the weekend. But Governor Deal in Georgia says that there's probably not much to worry about. He says that he's received no complaints of gas stations running out of gas, although we know now that several gas stations, one in particular in Alpharetta, have run out of gas. And the governor of Georgia says on Sunday his office hasn't received any complaints. That may have changed, in all fairness to the governor, as of now. He says we've not reached any complaints, and that if that changes on Monday or at any time in the coming days, the governor's office will act accordingly, says Governor Nathan Deal's spokeswoman, Jen Ryan, in a statement on Sunday. Fuel supplies in at least 5 states have been affected and threatened by this oil spill that happened in Alabama when a fuel line, a gas line, broke, and they're struggling now to fix that. You can't use power tools of any kind or anything that might create sparks because the gasoline fumes are extremely flammable and could cause a massive explosion and subsequent fire in northern Alabama. So they have to be very careful with that situation. I want to give you a quick update on the national situation. Ahmad Qad Rahami is now being sought after by the FBI following that bombing in Chelsea, and apparently his apartment has just been raided in New Jersey. If it's going on Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240.
After some morning clouds and patchy fog, a pretty nice day for your Monday with lots of afternoon sunshine, highs into the upper 80s with a breeze out of the north. Tonight, clear, comfortable lows, lower to middle 60s. For Tuesday and Wednesday, more sunshine, a little hotter for the afternoons with highs of around 90. What can you get for $1 these days? Quite a lot at Taco Bell, where you can feast for $1 all day. From breakfast to late night, feast on 20 decadent cravings for just $1 each. And I'm Source Gene 12 Chief Meteorologist Patrick Core on AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
Fox News Talk 1240. Fox News Talk 1240.
AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio with your chance to win $124 in cash and $124 in food every week with the Hot News Talk Radio 1, 2, 3 NASCAR contest.
Hot News Talk 1240.
All you have to do is guess who's going to be first, second, and third place in the upcoming NASCAR Sprint Cup race. If you guess it, you'll hear your name live Monday morning at 11:30. Then call AM 1240 Hot News Talk Radio to win. Enter your guess right now at Rick Davis Golden Diamonds, 5301 Brainerd Road, Chattanooga. Diesel Off-Road Technology Sunny Daisy for your four-wheel drive and truck needs. Stuff and upholstery with premium rubber foam. Amigos Mexican Restaurant next to Staples and Hickson. Drink specials during the race. Cell Surgeon, the Broken Screen Doc. And Shooter's Supply, 4824 Hickson Pike in Hickson.
Hot News Talk 1240.
Enter your guesses now and then listen to the race live to win $124 in cash and $124 in food from Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
I love NASCAR.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Good Monday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 19th day of September. I'm Matt Ray. We start with the latest out of New Jersey. That's where up to 5 suspicious devices have been discovered in a trash can near a train station. Service on the busy Northeast Corridor line has been suspended. Elizabeth, New Jersey Mayor Christian Bolwidge says 2 men called police and reported seeing wires and a pipe coming out of the package after finding it at about 9:30 p.m. Sunday. He tells CNN one of the devices went off.
The robots that were going in to disarm it cut a wire and it exploded. I don't know the technological aspect of that. I know there are other devices. I don't know what they're made up of, but they're going to have to be removed. And all of the fragments from the other piece are going to have to try to be picked up so the FBI can investigate this fully.
New Jersey Transit service has been suspended between Newark Liberty Airport and Elizabeth. New York's Emergency Management Department says that the New Jersey-bound Amtrak trains are being held at New York Penn Station. Of course, all of this follows the explosion Saturday in New York City's Chelsea neighborhood and an unexploded device found nearby. 5 people are reportedly being questioned this morning at an FBI building in New York. A witness of that New York explosion said she heard the explosion from Hudson River Park, and now she's weary of garbage cans after she saw many wounded at the site of the explosion at 7th Avenue and 24th Street on Saturday. Leanne Corey spoke to the Associated Press about what she saw.
When I heard this huge explosion, and I thought that it was I thought it was something at the river. So I was waiting for the fire truck to come. I heard fire truck, but then I heard fire truck going away from the river. So I knew that it was not the river. So then I went to Whole Foods, right here on 24th to get tea tree oil for my cat ringworm. And I saw just endless, fire trucks and firefighters and cops. And I saw people without shirts and wounds, sort of sitting next to the fire truck. I just got alert on my cell phone that there's another package they just found on 27th Street. So yes, there's definitely, I'm watchful. I'm leery of garbage cans now.
And once again, authorities questioning several people in connection with that explosion that injured 29 people in Manhattan Saturday. All have been released from the hospital, the injured, as well as the unexploded pressure cooker found nearby, and then an earlier pipe bomb blast in New Jersey. The FBI pulled over a suspicious car in Brooklyn Sunday night and took the occupants to the FBI building for questioning. Meanwhile, leaders of the Somali community in central Minnesota are condemning the stabbing of 9 people at a St. Cloud mall. Community leaders held a news conference Sunday. They said the suspect in Saturday night's attack does not represent the larger community. The man's father identified the suspect as Dahir Aden in an interview with the Star Tribune. St. Cloud Police Chief Blair Anderson.
St. Cloud is a very resilient community. St. Cloud is filled with hard-working, right-thinking, decent people, and we're going to be stronger because of this. Between last night, obviously, and this morning, we've executed at least 2 search warrants at an address here in St. Cloud. We did discover the suspect's vehicle in the mall parking lot. That vehicle was cleared and impounded. In other words, there's no imminent threat either from that vehicle or right now. There's nothing that we have gleaned that would suggest to us that this is anything other than what it appears to be now.
All 9 victims suffered injuries that were not life-threatening. The suspect shot by an off-duty police officer. The FBI says it's investigating the attack as a possible act of terrorism. Secretary of State John Kerry says Russia needs to stop Syrian President Bashar Assad from bombing the opposition and force him to allow aid into besieged areas. Kerry called on Russia to step in and get the humanitarian assistance going.
Biggest judgment they need to make is to stop Assad from bombing people indiscriminately, which he continues to do. And if you are serious about having a ceasefire, and they say they are, then they should keep Assad from flying right now and prove their sincerity about a ceasefire. But to allow Assad, who is a spoiler, he doesn't want a ceasefire, to allow him to continue to go after opposition, pretending that they are Nusra, is in and of itself a huge challenge to this effort. So we call on Russia to stop the grandstanding, stop the showboating, and get the humanitarian assistance going. It is now Sunday morning.
That's right.
This started Monday night of this past week. And the humanitarian assistance is supposed to be flowing. The regime, once again, is blocking it. So Russia's client, Russia's supported friend, is the single biggest blockade to the ability to move forward here. And the opposition feels threatened because the bombs continue, even as there is supposed to be a cessation of hostilities. So let me just say this clearly. Russia signed up to a cessation of hostilities. Assad said he would live by it. Then he needs to stop and let the Joint Implementation Center get set up so Russia and the United States can coordinate in order to avoid the kind of terrible thing that happened yesterday, which we all acknowledge, and regret.
Audio courtesy of CNN. Moscow and Washington have been trading blame over the fragile Syrian ceasefire that's been violated on numerous occasions since it began last Monday. It started to unravel over the weekend after the U.S.-led coalition hit Syrian government targets. And then that led to a Syrian airstrike on Aleppo yesterday. Well, the issue of what to do about the world's 65.3 million displaced people takes center stage at the United Nations General Assembly today when leaders from around the globe converge on New York for the first ever summit on addressing large movements of refugees and migrants. With more people forced to flee their homes than at any time since World War II, leaders and diplomats are expected to approve a document aimed at unifying the United Nations 193 member states behind a more coordinated effort that protects the human rights of refugees and migrants. Of course, many of those fleeing Syria and the war-torn areas there. If you are traveling and cannot find us in your area, we stream live at TalkStreamLive.com. We are also on the TalkStream Live mobile app and the TuneIn app. You can always reach out to me on Twitter or on Facebook, both at Matt Ray Talk. Use the hashtag AMN. More breaking news on the way on this Monday morning. It's September 19th, the very latest out of New York, where several people are being questioned in connection with Saturday's bombing in New York's Chelsea neighborhood, and more suspicious devices found overnight in New Jersey, the latest on the way. Plus, we'll check in with Lenore L. Hawkins, the reality of the labor force participation percentage. You've got America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:27. Good morning, Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
Russell, appreciate that. Good morning. Broken down tractor trailer on Amlicola at Riverside Drive in a lane of traffic, slowing us down a little bit through there. Everything else seems to be, for the most part, in pretty good shape so far. Mike Wood, good morning. From the traffic center here, Hot News Talk Radio at AM 1240.
It's 64 degrees in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center, and it's getting up to 89 today for our high and 65 for the low. No chance of rain today, but it's a little bit different the rest of the week here in the Tennessee Valley. There's a very, very, very small chance of rain, under 25% through the rest of the week this week. So it's possible we could be getting a few showers here and there, sprinkling more like here and there, just to keep your gardens a little bit wet. Overall, this week's going to be pretty dry and clear, though. We are under a UV warning and an allergy warning again here this week in the Tennessee Valley, according to the National Weather Service. So we'll keep an eye on that as well. Next week, more rain's expected, by the way. Almost immediately starting next week, the chance of rain significantly. So keep that in mind and keep an umbrella in your car if you're going to be weak. The gas price has gone up 20.8 cents now in Chattanooga, and it's possible that it could be going up even more here soon. The average retail gasoline price in Chattanooga has risen 20 cents per gallon in the past week, averaging $2.15 a gallon on Sunday. We were just at $1.98. Now it's gone up again, according to Gas Buddy's daily survey of 170 gas outlets here in Chattanooga. This compares with the national average that's increased 2.7 cents per gallon in the last week to $2.20, according to gasoline price website, gasbuddy.com. The reason for this, of course, is that gas pipeline that broke in northern Alabama, middle to northern Alabama, 6 cents per gallon higher on the national average on the same day 1 year ago, and 30 cents per gallon higher than a month ago. The national average has increased 5.1 cents per gallon. So we are definitely being immediately affected by this gas line breakage in northern Alabama, owned by the Colonial Company, and they're struggling now to fix it, to close it. And we are going to be in a deficit for a while when it comes to gas, because they only produce it about as quickly as we consume it. So it's going to be a pretty massive undertaking to get that price down again here in the Tennessee Valley. And it takes longer for it to go down than it does for it to go up. Trust me. And speculation is playing a big part of that. Looking at the news now, a woman, or rather 3 women, were being held hostage by a man for 4 hours at College Hill courts after he was being sought after by police for carjacking and robbery charges. They found out where he was, and he found out that they were after him. So he took these women hostage, according to police, by pointing a firearm at them and pointing it at police through the door and telling them that he had them hostage. 4 hours later, the SWAT team managed to get inside, and he came out, and they arrested him, the suspect, Police say when Donahue was being taken into custody, he apparently headbutted a sergeant at the scene. A search of the apartment showed that a Ruger 380 handgun, a Walther 22, and a Car Arms 45 caliber handgun were reported on scene. The later two are stolen, apparently, according to police. The 22 and the 45 were stolen. A barn has burned down in Sale Creek this morning at about 2:30 in the morning, and rather 11:30 a.m. Yesterday morning, I should say. A homeowner called 911 to report that her barn was on fire. Sale Creek VFD requested mutual aid, and a tanker shuttle came in. A tanker shuttle carries water where there are no fire hydrants nearby. The barn had farm equipment, tools, and supplies in it. The cause is being investigated by the Hamilton County Sheriff's Office, and a pedestrian was hit on DuPont Parkway northbound. The speed limit on DuPont Parkway is about 50 miles per hour, so that could not have been a very pleasant wreck there. Northbound DuPont Parkway was shut down early this morning at about 2:30 in the morning. The victim's been taken to the hospital. The police have not updated us on the condition of that man who was hit, or woman who was hit. We don't know the gender of the victim. If it's going on the Tennessee Valley, it's going on Hot 1240, Hot News Talk Radio. And be sure to get us on the Facebook app on your phone, and you can also get us on the TuneIn Radio app on your smartphone as well. It's Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Hi, this is Mike at Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell, featuring over 6,000 square feet of unique and everyday wholesale items, discounted at, get this, 50 to 75% off of retail, from new and pre-owned tools to chainsaws and auto accessories. Wholesale Liquidation, Highway 58, next to Taco Bell.
Bell's Smoke Shop in Saudi Daisy has everything to please your good taste. It's across from the Hardys in Saudi Daisy. Come visit Bina. She has all kinds of treats for you, including beer. Bell's Smoke Shop, Saudi Daisy.
Hi, this is Eric Pelton, tax services, accounting, cash flow. We're small business specialists. I've been helping families and businesses for 35 years. E.J. Pelton Company, 332-3339. We make life less taxing.
This is Mike at For the Record at Northgate Mall. We're the largest complete record store in town. We sell old and new vinyl records, celebrity posters, music posters, and we are the largest in town. Come see us.
Here comes Dale Earnhardt Jr. He's got third. He's going for second. Earnhardt going for the lead.
The NASCAR Sprint Cup Series is on the Motor Racing Network. News Talk 1240. Hear it live on the Motor Racing Network, the voice of NASCAR.
Check it out live on Chattanooga's official NASCAR radio station.
Hot News Talk 1240.
The radio box. Grab this special right now and get 4 ounces of real silver at their cost. Visit moneymetals.com. Enter my name, Jerry, with a J, in the radio box at the top. Do yourself a favor. Do it now.
This is the Talk Radio Network at talkradionetwork.com.
You're listening to America's Morning News.
Good Monday morning. This is America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks on this 19th day of September, 34 minutes past the hour. I'm Matt Ray. Here's what we're following this morning.
The robots that were going in to disarm it cut a wire and it exploded.
Up to 5 devices discovered in New Jersey overnight. We have the latest.
We are currently investigating this as a potential act of terrorism.
ISIS claims responsibility for a stabbing attack at a Minnesota mall.
Even by Russia's standards, tonight's stunt, a stunt replete with moralism and grandstanding, is uniquely cynical and hypocritical.
Syria's ceasefire begins to unravel. We're crossing the nation and sweeping the globe to bring you all of today's top stories. And we start with breaking news. Overnight, investigators examining a suspicious device found in a trash can near a New Jersey train station. Service on the busy Northeast corridor has been suspended. Elizabeth Mayor Christian Bolwood says 2 men called police and reported seeing wires and a pipe coming out of the package after finding it at about 9:30 p.m. Sunday. He told CNN one of the devices inside of that bag went off.
The robots that were going in to disarm it cut a wire and it exploded. I don't know the technological aspect of that. I know there are other devices. I don't know what they're made up of, but they're going to have to be removed. And all of the fragments from the other piece are going to have to try to be picked up so the FBI can investigate this fully.
And this comes as authorities in New York are questioning several people in connection with an explosion that injured 29 in Manhattan Saturday night, as well as an unexploded pressure cooker found blocks away and an earlier pipe bomb blast in New Jersey. Authorities say the FBI pulled over a suspicious car in Brooklyn Sunday night and took the occupants to an FBI building for questioning. Of course, we'll continue to bring you details as they become available right here on America's Morning News. Taking a look at the markets today, Asian markets moderately higher as investors await the outcome from the Fed Reserve and Bank of Japan policy meetings later this week. South Korea's Kospi added 0.8%. The Hang Seng rose 0.9%. The Shanghai Composite added 0.5%. Here at home on Friday, stocks closed moderately lower. The Dow fell 88 or 0.5%. The S&P 500 fell 8. That's 0.25%. And the NASDAQ shed 5. Housing news is front and center during the early part of the week. Today, the National Association of Home Builders releases its housing market index for September. And tomorrow, the Commerce Department will release housing starts for August. On Tuesday, Fed Reserve policymakers begin that 2-day meeting to set interest rates. And FedEx reports its quarterly financials after the market closes. Let's bring in the expert. Lenore L. Hawkins joins us each Monday this hour here on America's Morning News. She's a founding partner at Meritus Advisors and co-author of the new book, Cocktail Investing, available now at Amazon.com. Also the co-manager of the Growth Seeker portfolio for The Street. Good Monday morning. How are you today?
Very good. Good morning.
We got a lot of good news about the economic recovery last week. I mean, everything sounded great, right?
Oh, right. It was a great week. outside of the, splitting your wrists, we had, I think it was 7 major reports came in, and every single one of them came in below expectations. We had U.S. industrial production came in below. It was, in fact, the worst month for manufacturing since the expansion began. And today we've got our capacity utilization, meaning how much of our ability to make stuff are we actually using. That's at roughly 75%. Hard to call any inflationary pressures there when we have 25% of our capacity is totally left unused, which that has an impact on what's coming up on Wednesday with the Fed's decision. And you were talking about home builders reporting. Well, actually, if you looked at the retail sales, which also came in below expectations last week, building material sales have now dropped in 5 of the past 6 months, and furniture and appliances fell 0.7% month over month, and electronic sales are basically flat. And if you look at over the past year, electronic sales were down actually 4.3% in the first 8 months of 2016 versus the same period in 2015. So if we keep hearing all about how this great, robust rebound in home buying, why isn't anyone buying stuff to put in their home? And when we take a step back, because we hear, the Fed keeps talking about, we're data dependent. All right, well, let's look at that data. They talk about how we have this robust unemployment, right? They look at the unemployment number. Well, if you look at the percent of working age people that are actually employed, today it's back where it was in the early 80s. And that isn't because women have decided to stay home again, because back in the 80s, that's when women were just starting to enter the workforce, because the percent of men working has dropped massively since 2007. And as far as, we've been hearing all about how great the job creation has been since the financial crisis. Well, the rate of job creation at its best has been at a rate that's about half of what we normally see. And part of the reason for that is that the rate of new business formation has been stuck below 8%, when before the financial crisis, it kind of moved back and forth between 10 and 14%, going all the way back to the 1970s.
Yeah. Well, what's going on with labor productivity? I mean, you talk about, we talked about industrial production. I mean, we talk about manufacturing. What's happening with labor productivity?
Well, it's at levels we haven't seen in over 30 years. And the reason for that labor productivity, it really measures for for an hour that a person works, what do they actually generate? And one of the ways that a society becomes wealthier is with each hour of working, we produce more and more stuff. And that's one of the reasons the U.S. economy did so well for so long, is our productivity kept rising and our population was rising. So you had more and more people working, and each person was able to generate more and more with each hour of work. Well, businesses have not been investing back in their own productive capacity. So without that, because I think we talked about that last week, that the capital expenditures for business is actually in a recession. Without investing back into their own ability, the labor productivity is at levels we haven't seen in 30 years. And when you look at that kind of makes sense, because then you can't get paid that much. So the median household income, while we heard recently, the U.S. Census came out and said that in 2015 we had a big jump up, yay, which is great. So it's good. We like to see that. But it's still, the median household income is still below the 1999 peak. It's 2.4% below where it was in 99. 17 years later. I mean, how frustrating is that? And if you look across income gains on a percentile basis, so if you took every income level, divided, made 10 different levels of income, those at the lowest level of income saw the weakest level of improvement. So no wonder people are so frustrated.
Yeah. And I would imagine today we're probably looking at a boost from higher oil prices. I mean, that's not good when something like that's driving up the market.
Yeah, if you looked on a geographic
and only that.
Yeah, exactly. You looked on a geographic basis, you nailed it. Those areas that are primarily oil producing areas are the ones that drove that income growth. So if we hadn't had the boom in oil, which is obviously now over, but if we hadn't had that boom in oil, we wouldn't have even seen this kind of income growth. And in fact, there's a recent survey by the University of Michigan says that the percent of U.S. consumers who are uncertain about the economy has never been higher. That doesn't bode well for people investing in the future, which probably also explains the weak retail sales.
Lenore L. Hawkins breaks it down for us like no other. We appreciate your time as always. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt.
All right. Have a great week. That's Lenore L. Hawkins. She's the founding partner at Emeritus Advisors. The book, Cocktail Investing, available at Amazon.com. She's also the co-manager of the Growth Seeker portfolio for the street. You can find out more at elseconomy.com. More breaking news on the way. The very latest out of New York and New Jersey. More suspicious devices found in New Jersey, and 5 people being questioned about Saturday's explosion in New York. You've got America's Morning News, where the nation's news breaks.
America's Morning News. America's Morning News. We'll be right back.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Traffic and weather together at 8:44. Good morning, Mike Wood with Hot News Talk Radio's Fast Traffic Now.
Good morning, Russell. Thank you. Trouble spot right now, 27 southbound right at Mountain Creek Road. No injuries. Chattanooga police are, I do believe, on the scene of that one right now, Russell. Everything else looks like it's in pretty good shape so far this morning. The World Class Air Show, Wings Over North Georgia, is back on October 29th and 30th. Russell Regional Airport there in Rome. The amazing United States Air Force Thunderbirds will perform. Concert series with Travis Tritt, fireworks show. Save 25% now on general admission family 4-packs and bleacher 4-packs. You can also get a 10% discount on daily general admission tickets for a limited time. Anyway, tickets and all the details online at wingsovernorthgeorgia.com. Mike Wood, good morning from the Traffic Center. Hot News Talk Radio here, AM 1240.
65 degrees in Chattanooga from the Hot News Talk Radio Weather Center, getting up to 89 today for our high and 65 for the low. Partly cloudy today, but no rain is expected. There's actually 0% chance of rain today, but tomorrow things are a little bit different. There's a small chance of rain, and Wednesday and Thursday have our largest chance, but it's still under 25% all through this week. Next week, holds a better fortune for us with rain coming in, possibly about a 50% chance on Wednesday. So rain is possible then. Highs in the 90s and 80s, lows in the 60s and 70s throughout this week. Looking at the news now, the price of gas has risen 20.8 cents per gallon here in Chattanooga. The average retail gas price has risen, averaging now at $2.15 per gallon on Sunday, according to Gas Buddy's daily survey of 170 different gas stations here in Chattanooga. This compares with the national average, which has increased 2.7 cents per gallon last week to 2.20 per gallon, according to gasoline price website Gas Buddy. Including the change prices were in Chattanooga last week. Prices on Sunday were 28 cents lower. So this is a rather major update now on the gas price, 20 cents higher. And the mayor of Georgia is still trying to find a resolution for that problem there, where he says that there's not been any complaints to his office as of Sunday, but he's still looking for any sort of solution he can find if there is indeed a major problem to Georgia. The governor of Tennessee has declared a state of emergency. Bill Haslam declaring a state of emergency for the state of Tennessee because of a gas shortage possibility here in the Tennessee Valley. This is all due to a gas spill. Inspectors stumbled upon this large spill from Colonial Pipeline's large Line 1 pipeline, which goes all the way from Texas to New Jersey and spiders out in different directions, including here to Tennessee. Colonial Pipeline Company suggested that it's working on a go-around pipeline while it fixes the main one, but there is simply no easy way to fix this problem here in the Tennessee Valley. In local news here, Gary Van Hooser has dropped out of County Commission District 3 race, and now he's backing Joe Smith for the race. He has qualified to run as an independent for County Commission District 3. He's now dropped out of that race to throw his support in for another contender, Joe Smith. Mr. Van Hooser on Friday signed papers at the Hamilton County Election Office to have his name taken out of the ballot, saying, after much prayer with my wife throughout this process, I feel that it's best for me to pull my name off the ballot for the November election in the District 3 Commission seat here in Hamilton County. So one fewer remains now. And there are several left in this race, not in District 3, but in the various county commission districts here in the Tennessee Valley. This is going to be a possible major shakeup in the county commission because several incumbents are already looking like they're not going to be coming back. A Dalton woman who's 25 was killed along with her 2 children after a Chevy truck smashed into the rear of her Jeep, throwing her into the median and causing the windshield to break and the car to flip over. Multiple deaths now, 1 major injury, 1 child, 2 years old, taken to an Atlanta hospital by airlift. 8 years old, taken by airlift. Scotty Warford, who's the suspect, was driving the Dodge that hit the Jeep. What's going on in Tennessee Valley? It's going on Hot News Talk Radio.
You give us 12 minutes and 40 seconds, we'll give you Chattanooga and the world.
News Talk 1240.
Shooter Supply, any A-frame, 20% off, 10% off, 5% off, everything in the store's on sale.